Remember when the defense industry easily produced airplanes in large quantities? Back then, military aircraft were simpler, tough, reliable, and affordable. However, things have changed over time. Today, let's delve into the B-52 bomber and explore why it seems invincible, resisting any attempts to retire it. The B-52 is also known as the Buff, big, ugly, fat fella. Boeing produced over 700 of the bombers between 1952 and 1962. And the Air Force plans to continue flying the Buff until the 2050s. That implies that a bomber designed during the Truman administration will still be dropping warheads on people's heads by the time the conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan are halfway over. By comparison, according to Air Force magazine, the B-1 Lancer and B-2 Spirit, which first flew in the 1980s, are scheduled to be retired in early 2030s, more than a decade ahead of schedule. In 2011, after 30 years of operation, the NASA Space Shuttle was retired. The last flight of the SR-71 Blackbird was made in 1990 after 24 years of service. In the meantime, the service plans to purchase at least 100 new B-21 stealth bombers and modify 76 B-52s. By the 2040s, the outcome would be a force of no fewer than 175 bombers, made up of 80-year-old B-52s and brand new B-21s from the manufacturer. In any conceivable case, the B-52 survives. The Air Force uses B-52s to transport long-range missiles because they are easy to use, robust, and inexpensive to run. In a high-tech conflict, the military did not intend for the antiquated bombers to breach enemy defenses. Instead, they would fire cruise missiles from a distance beyond air defenses. The United States Air Force is faced with a dilemma: how to maintain the operational viability of its aging fleet of B-52 bombers until their scheduled retirement in the late 2030s. To prolong their service life, these old aircraft, some of which were first in the air in the 1950s, are undergoing significant improvements. The outdated TF-33 engines of the bombers are being replaced with more modern and efficient power plants at a cost of billions of dollars. In addition, the Air Force is rewiring the bomber's bomb bays to integrate modern smart weapons with digital guidance systems under the Combat Network Communications Technology Program. Every B-52 has an advanced digital backbone thanks to Connect. Military authorities stated that this enables aircrews to receive digital broadcasts of the most recent tasking instructions, intelligence data, and threat assessments in real time from different sources. The most important aspect of this new system is that it will digitally connect every crew station on the bombers. Better information exchange among staff members while in flight will be made possible by this. Aircrews will thus have far better situational awareness of current operations and more adaptability to changing circumstances. The Connect program's overall goal is to improve these bombers' capabilities and prolong their service lifetimes well into the 2030s, or until eventually replacements become available. The B-52 should be capable of achieving at least 20% increase in fuel efficiency by replacing its engines without compromising the takeoff and landing performance. The B-52H, which carries 35 tons of bombs and missiles at a maximum speed of 650 miles per hour with the TF-33 engines, can fly up to 4,500 kilometers without having to refuel. America used to build durable goods. The Buff, the combat aircraft in the United States military, with the longest service history, is evidence that little is more when it comes to bells and whistles. Air Force Major General Thomas A. Lucier commented, "I'm not an engineer, but I'd have to tell you that the folks that built this airplane designed an aircraft that is pretty sturdy." The 8th Air Force, under Lucier's command, is in charge of the bomber fleet for the services. The year he was born, 1963, coincided with the Air Force receiving the final B-52. Originally intended to be America's nuclear bomber, the B-52 saw a dramatic change in function with the advent of GPS-guided missiles, as it began to provide close air support. With an amazing payload of up to 70,000 pounds of bombs and missiles, this famous aircraft, also known as Buff, big, ugly, fat fella, has been actively involved in aiding soldiers in many battles including Afghanistan and Iraq. Though it has undergone upgrades and changes throughout time, the B-52's core technology goes back to the 1950s and 1960s, which distinguishes it from the Air Force's more modern aircraft. Lucier's April 20th response to Task and Purpose states that because of its unique history and capabilities, this long-serving bomber still has a special place in aviation history. Essentially, we're working today with the 1960s versions of aircraft that have been modified like other weapon systems in any service, Lucier stated. The fact that it has served so long and will continue to serve so long is a pretty remarkable statistic. He claimed that one reason the B-52 has lasted so long is that, in comparison to fighters, which are made to yank and bank, bombers draw lower G-forces. Additionally, a large number of bombers were not flying many missions for years due to being on alert with Strategic Air Command, which was a precursor of U.S. Strategic Command. The B-52, along with the Air Force's newest bomber, the B-21 Raider, is scheduled to carry out the nuclear mission into the future despite its advanced age. The U.S. government's unfortunate choice to purchase only 20 bombers instead of the 132 B-2s it had originally meant to purchase is one reason why the B-52 will outlive the newer B-2, according to retired Air Force Lieutenant General David Leptula, head of the Mitchell Institute of Aerospace Studies. The U.S. Department of Defense and the Air Force have allowed arbitrary budget levels to dictate force organization for far too long, Leptula told reporters. It's time to reverse that equation and make the national security strategy the driving force behind force structure. The B-52 can launch standoff conventional and nuclear missiles from a distance without endangering itself because of developments in fighter aircraft and air defense systems, according to Lucier. During the attack on Syria on April 13th, the B-1 demonstrated how this might be accomplished by firing cruise missiles at targets while outside Syrian airspace, giving ISIS a serious facelift. He said that the B-52's ability to carry a large load of munitions and fuel allows it to loiter for extended periods of time and deliver the firepower needed to move American soldiers and their allies out of harm's way. This has proven to be extremely useful to commanders in Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan. In 2017, the 23rd Bomb Squadron did something special while deployed to the Central Command Theater. They completed a solid 400 missions aimed at Taliban and ISIS targets. This pushed past a long-standing B-52 record from Operation Linebacker II that dated back to 1972. The Central Command of the U.S. Air Force checked the facts and praised the squadron's hard work and excellent mission management. Unfortunately, mechanical issues stopped another flight, bringing the impressive streak to an end. In 2017, the 69th Expeditionary Bomb Squadron released a statement. They completed an incredible 834 B-52 missions in September alone. It is a credit to their abilities and commitment. Simply told, B-52s are long-lasting and effective machines. Every mission demonstrated just that. The squadron is clearly devoted and efficient. That is their legacy. The persistent efforts of Air Force Materiel Command to upkeep the bomber over the years, coupled with the drive of airmen to keep the B-52 airborne, are noteworthy, Lucier said in a statement. For a glimpse into the valor and commitment of an airman, I recommend watching a maintainer prepping a B-52 on the runway, he said. The rotating B-52 teams handling operations in the Middle East unequivocally excelled at their task, he said. To summarize, the B-52 bomber has been around for a long time, demanding how simpler planes from the past can survive more advanced ones. Its capacity to continue operating, despite technological advancements, demonstrates that keeping things simple is often a smart idea in the realm of aviation. The B-52 is like a steadfast old buddy in the sky, reminding us that simplicity can be powerful.